Commission. It concerned the New Jersey Superfund climate superfund this time, and I followed up on it a couple times and didn't really get any answer. Is there a reason why it never came on the agenda?
Well,
It was discussed on the council, we couldn't go through. You know, among the consensus of the council.
Was not to even put it on the agenda and discuss it. Interesting,
Because
because
there
our
was some did support the resolution, it could be included.
So, yeah, the public would like to see that discussion and see who votes for these things that seem like just common sense. I just can't see the downside of it. Our state senator was a big proponent of it and you know, really strongly, when we went to Trenton, I'm going to say begged, he was strongly urging us to get our cities and towns to pass these resolutions. It helps them move the legislation. You know, when committee people are blocking it or something, if they can see, you know, dozens of communities around the state. And I ask because now there's another resolution that I want to bring to your attention. Communities are making resolutions in support of the Immigrant Trust Act. And that's actually what I was here to speak about tonight, and many of my fellow attendees. This would codify and actually expand the Attorney General's directive regarding the safety of our immigrant members of our community. And again, Senator Smith is on board. Our legislators, I guess you know, Representative Deegan, Representative Danielson, they are co-sponsors of this bill in the House, in the legislature. Yes, so we as the Brunswick residents would want you to do this resolution as a show of support for the immigrant community, and specifically this bill, which would give people some measure of peace of mind, because it does have specific provisions for houses of worship, schools, but also just because it shows that you have the community members back, that support. So, yeah. Thank you.
thank you. And we are in receipt of the email giving information, so we'll take it under advisement and we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mickey Diener. I'm a resident of Highland Park, but I spent probably most of my childhood here in New Brunswick. I'm here as part of the group of organizations. You can see members up here. New Labor, most of them in their orange shirts, and also an organization called DIRE, which stands for Deportation, Immigration, Response to People. And we're here, as Lindy just said, to ask you to put together, adopt a resolution supporting the New Jersey Immigrant Trust Act. And I think you've seen sample resolutions of it. New Jersey is one of the most diverse states in the nation of immigrants. Nearly 1 in 4 of our state's residents is an immigrant. 10% of U.S. citizen children in New Jersey live at least with one undocumented family member, and these are not abstract statistics. They're our neighbors, our friends, families, parents of classmates of our children. And as you must know, the legislature's been sitting on this act for some time, probably around now, based on the fact that addressing immigration isn't a good look for a campaign season, which is very unfortunate. But the urgency for the act is clear. The actions of the current administration, which only started months ago, are having a devastating effect on communities in the state and the nation. We must resist these efforts of the current administration with every tool we have, including the Immigrant Trust Act. As Lindy was saying, the ITA provides a direct and necessary response. Since 2019, the Attorney General's Immigration Trust Directive has been a proven success. The public officials agree it's kept our communities safer by enabling immigrants to report crimes without fear of being separated from their families. The ITA would codify this successful directive into state law, which is incredibly important since we don't know who the next Attorney General is going to be and whether he or she would continue that directive. The ITA crucially would also expand these protections. It would ensure that a visit to the DMV, enrolling a child in school, or seeking health care could not lead to private information being shared with ICE, putting our families in jeopardy. By passing this resolution, you will be choosing to maintain the stability of your community, protect all your residents, and join a growing chorus of municipalities across New Jersey calling on the state legislature and the governor to pass the Immigrant Trust Act into law with all deliberate speed. So we do implore you to take up this resolution and pass it at your earliest possible convenience. Thank you.
Do I just start talking, or?
You can give your name and address.
Oh, of course. My name is Troy Chartier Piano. I'm not a resident of New Brunswick. I come from a couple of times over in South River, but I have been in New Brunswick plenty of times. I don't have anything written or prepared, so I may not sound as eloquent as I would like, or as eloquent as the previous speakers have been. But I did just want to voice my support in favor of a resolution, passing a resolution in favor of the Immigrant Trust Act. I don't want to really mince words here. It's kind of scary what's going on in this country right now. People are being taken off of the streets. They're being taken in their jobs. And it's not necessarily the case that these people are here undocumented, right? There are cases of people who have a legal right to be here, right? Who have the valid paperwork, who are being taken and sent to prisons across the country, right? I could name one off the top of my head right now. Sochi, a community organizer and a resident of New Jersey here at a time, who is a DACA recipient, who was stopped at a, I believe it was an airport, and taken to a prison in El Paso by ICE. And the judge recently ruled that she was not being kept there lawfully, but she's still being detained here. We're living in unprecedented times is what I'm trying to get at right now. And it's extremely scary. It's a concern that a growing number of people are having, right? And public opinion on what's happening right now is quickly going down under the water, which is why I want to just bring up the fact that with an ongoing election this year, with a potential change in how our state is run, right, at the executive level, we need to have decisive action, right? And we need to have overwhelmingly strong support for legislation like this to restore some sense of comfort, right, of peace, right, of calm, that people who may not be here as full legal citizens can trust the public institutions that are supposed to serve them without fear of incidentally, quote unquote, reporting themselves to ICE, right? We need that sort of division, right? We need that sort of boundary where we can say, you are still here, you are still entitled to the various public services and necessities that the state can provide, right? And I appreciate hearing, oh, we've received this email, we've heard this, we're considering this. But what I would really appreciate, and what I think many of the people behind me would appreciate, is a definitive, at least resolution, or at least a hearing on an agenda for having it be spoken out into words. And I hope that this could be expedited. I hope this could be done as quickly as possible. This Trust Act is not new. It's been sitting on here for many years now. And I would rather it not go stagnant at a time like this. I think this is the time to voice support for it, right? And say to the governor, the state assembly, the legislators, that New Brunswick, a very, very large town, right, a city, is in support of this act and that it needs to be passed. Because we don't know exactly what the future holds. And I think that there are plenty of people here who are entitled to the same services and the same protections as anyone else in this country. And I would like New Jersey to at least stand at a high standard for such a thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
activist. My name is Amanda Dominguez. I was born and raised in New Brunswick, still currently living in New Brunswick. I have 3 children who go to New Brunswick Public Schools. I work right here on Patterson Street, and I live with some of you, I think, in Rutgers Village, actually. We share the Rutgers Village Facebook page. I've seen your names pop up here and there. Mayor Cahill is only 2 blocks away from my house. I go to school at Rutgers University. I'm a 3rd-year PhD student in language education. I live here, and I love New Brunswick, and I love my community. I'm a community member, and I'm a community activist. I'm here as part of the organization New Labor today to push for the Immigrant Trust Act resolution. If you received more than one email, I'm one of the emails that you guys received about the Immigrant Trust Act resolution. And I'm here just to put it, I guess, a little bit more into perspective. We've had a lot of ICE activity in New Brunswick. I did talk to I believe it's like the chief of police. I don't know the titles very well, and they said no, ICE is not in New Brunswick. That's not true. I have a spreadsheet of names, dates, people, times, and I'm willing to share that with you all if you want to get a good picture about what's been going on here in New Brunswick. The community is scared. The community is scared. I did speak to Mayor Cahill via email a few months ago, and he assured me that New Brunswick police would not be cooperating, with ICE agents. But that is not stopping ICE agents from going in and doing cruel things in our neighborhoods. I was here with one of our first ICE incidents was in February, where they took a grandmother from Woodbridge Avenue in New Brunswick, 5 p.m. on a Sunday evening. She has high blood pressure, she has diabetes. They took her from in front of her home, and she was not allowed to grab her medication. They did not advise her family as to where she was taken. The only reason why the family found her is because they had the Track My iPhone app, and they tracked it to the Newark Detention Center. 2 days later, she was moved to Louisiana. Family can't get to her, lawyer can't get to her, and she had an open immigration case where she was checking in with immigration every month, and she's been in the country for over 30 years, right? I was on a call the other day with the Domestic Violence Coalition in New Brunswick. That annual march is coming up in October. New Labor members will be present, and they were saying, please make sure that we have some of the med students come out so they can do the blood pressure and diabetes testing for folks, because people are afraid to go to the hospital. And people are afraid to go to the clinics because they don't want ICE getting into those databases. For years, community organizers like myself have been telling people to file taxes and to use their ITINs, right, to pay taxes. And the community members have been listening. And now what? Now that database is at risk. The Trump administration wants to use that database, right, to get to people. So they have a valid fear. It's thinking of, if I go to the hospital, will they use that against me? If I register my kids for school, will they use that against me? If I fill out this lease paper, can they use that against me? People stop coming to certain classes and health and safety trainings that we offer here at New Labor. Across the state, we have 3 centers in Newark, Lakewood, and New Brunswick, and people don't come because they're afraid to do anything that is considered like extracurricular. They have a real fear. And so I think in this community, in Hispanic Heritage Month, it would be a lovely thing to do to say, yes, we stand with our community, and we are going to pass the Immigrant Trust Act resolution here in New Brunswick. And if we can continue to get different communities to pass it, then we're going to have more strength when we try to pass it statewide. Because we don't know what the governor race holds. We're not even into year 1 of this administration. We don't know what 3 more years means for us, right? So if we can take this step in the right direction, then we'll have more power to pass it at the state level. So I urge you all to take it seriously. I appreciate you saying that you got the email and you guys are going to review the resolution, but it would be wonderful if we can get this done during Hispanic Heritage Month and celebrate our diverse community. So thank you very much.
My name is Helene May, and I'm a pediatric social worker. I have 28 years of experience working at St. Peter's University Hospital in the community. I see many children with serious depression, anxiety, sleep and eating disorders, attention deficit, behavioral disorders that are often trauma-related. Let me tell you about some of the young patients I've seen at St. Peter's. An 8-year-old boy who stopped eating and he lost weight. He had to go to the emergency room because he was dehydrated. A 12-year-old girl who became severely depressed with a lot of grief and needed counseling. Young children with sleep disorders afraid to go to sleep since they were fearful during the night. A teen girl who said she hates her life. She had suicidal ideation, stopped going to school She needed medication and counseling. All of these children had one thing in common. One of their parents or grandparents was detained by ICE. Immigration and detainment disrupts not just the lives of those detained, but the lives of family members, including innocent children, many of whom actually are citizens of our country. These kids suffer from loss of income, stability, housing issues. They have less food, less medical care, and often less schooling in the cases of older children who have to drop out of school because a parent is not able to support the family and they have to help support their family. It causes a great deal of stress for everyone in the community, especially the kids, and it's not the children's fault. Many of them were born here, they're citizens, and there was a study of childhood trauma called the Esta study. It showed that adverse events in childhood, and of course, a parent being detained or a parent being taken away affects children's health in the future, and it leads to poor health, mental health issues. It increases addiction, poor academic performance, and decreased life expectancy. There's just not enough counselors, therapists, or psychologists to go around to care for these children. And these children are our future. Some kids have stopped going to school. Parents are fearful of taking them there. Children have stopped taking their kids to the doctor. We have less visits at the clinic because the parents are afraid that they'll be picked up. Children deserve to live their lives without fear that a parent or a grandparent will be taken away from them. Their parents are working hard, support the families in jobs that are difficult, tedious, dangerous, often putting in very long hours. They care about their future. They'll sacrifice everything to help their kids grow up to be fully functioning citizens of our country. Allowing this to go on unabated in such a diverse community such as New Brunswick is just unacceptable. We need safe zones at schools, at hospitals, to allow the children to get the education, medical care they deserve, and of course we need to pass the Immigrant Trust Act because our children need and deserve protection from fear. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Witt. I live in Highland Park. I've lived here for 15 years in New Brunswick. I just want to first start by saying I want to express my solidarity with the family of Deborah Torrell and who was gunned down inexcusably by the New Brunswick police. So I really hope that the officer who was involved with this is actually prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I am also a volunteer with DIRE, which is mentioned earlier, stands for Deportation and Immigration Responsive People. I coordinate the DIRE hotline, which receives calls from people who see ICE in their neighborhoods, from people who have loved ones detained in ICE detention, and from others with immigration issues. Since Trump took office, we have received hundreds of calls from families torn apart and terrorized by ICE. And we've had quite a few calls from people in New Brunswick, from families who have a member detained. We've also had a number of calls from people who have seen ICE and want help. So it's very, very present in New Brunswick. Nothing can't be just ignored and pretended that it's not happening here. So I also just want to explain a little bit more about the Immigrant Trust Act, because it will prevent local police and government agencies from becoming arms of ICE. Everyone needs to know that the police, hospitals, schools, and other government agencies are doing their jobs and not collaborating with ICE's violations of human rights. This legislation recognizes that government agencies will need to respond when ICE provides a proper judicial warrant. But of course, they generally never have a judicial warrant. And so without a judicial warrant, these agencies will not have to expend their time, budget, or staffing to just try to meet the whims of immigration agents. So I just want to bring up that we cannot wait any longer and let this critical piece of legislation languish in Trenton. We need our representatives at every level of government, including right here, to put pressure on Trenton to act and to act now.
The leadership in Trenton has not even allowed a committee hearing on the Immigrant Trust Act, in spite of many, many sponsors. We know right now the federal government plans to further ramp up ICE arrests, more raids. In fact, they plan to open Fort Dix with 3,000 beds for ICE detention. We simply cannot allow this legislative session to end without passage of this bill. And if that happens and it doesn't pass, honestly, we'll know who's responsible. It's going to be both parties. The Democrats just as responsible for that as the Republicans, if not more so. So what I'd really like to know, we would like a local resolution passed, as many other cities, I think about 20 or so towns have recently passed a new resolution. We'd like to see you all do that. So I'd like to know tonight whether there are members of this council who will commit to actually press for the passage of the Immigrant Trust Act, press the leadership in Trenton, yourselves individually, and also who here is willing to help put together to pass a resolution here in New Brunswick. It would mean a lot to the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in public comment?
Hi, good evening, council members. My name is Alejandro Jaramillo, and I have a long history here in New Brunswick. You know, my wife, myself, my children, we spent a lot of years studying and working here in New Brunswick and being part of the community. I am a member of the New Brunswick Concejo chapter here in New Brunswick that we work very closely with our partners from New Labor, Dyer, and others to protect the immigrant community. And I'm not going to repeat what the other speakers say. You know, I agree 100%. But I just want to give you what we have heard from community members, immigrant community members, right? Every day, when they wake up, before they go out to the workplace or take their children to school, they look out the window. They look if there is a unknown car parked there with tinted windows. And if there is none, they walk out and they are always on the watch. When they are going to the school, when they are going to the workplace, always being on guard to see where they see us. They do that when they leave, they do that when they take their children to school, when they pick them up, when they go to work, when they leave, when they go to shop, and many of them are afraid to go out and shop, to go out to a restaurant, because you never know. So this has a lot of impact in the mental health of the community, especially children. As the previous speaker said, for example, my wife is a clinical social worker, and she has seen children being stressed, being depressed, being worried, don't want to go to school, don't want to go out because they are afraid of ICE. They are afraid that their parents are going to be taken. And it's a reality that a lot of those families, even my family, right, that anytime someone comes on the front door and knocks, we are thinking, who is it, right? We just don't go and open the door, you know, to welcome the visitor. Say, who is it? Because we don't know who is going to be on the other side of the door next time. So we ask you, you know, that you support passing that resolution, and not only passing the resolution, but use your power as representatives of New Brunswick to push and pressure our legislatures, you know, to pass the Immigration Trust Act, and also here in New Brunswick, you know, stand with our community. You know, if we expect you to speak up when ICE comes and speak up in favor or in defense of our community, because if I see that the community is organized and the representatives are here to protect them and speak on their behalf, they're gonna think twice, when they are planning their race and coming. So we expect you to support this resolution and also to stand up with our community. Thank you.
Smith, I just really got a question, and the question of concern is that I wanted to ask. Do we have a community liaison? What do you mean by community liaison? Like someone, like a reputable within between the community and with you guys that the community trusts and you guys trust when we have these different issues and things that's going on to help assist one another. Because I seen everyone that came up speaking from the different organizations, everyone saying different things. And even when the meeting was going on, not just here, but the last time I was at the other places, I know it's a lot of stuff you guys can't say, it's a lot going on here, but there has to be someone trusted between you guys and the community that will help certain situations going on. Not just, I'm here on behalf of the family of Devin Terrell, but also not just that, it was a shooting that just took place on Richardson Avenue with the young kids and mother that got, killed. I'm not killed, but shot in the leg, protecting her child. My concern is there like a liaison between you guys and the community, someone trusted to help get these situations. Everybody goes to the police, but the community do strive to police certain things on their own, but there needs to be help between the community and the police in those aspects. So that's why I was asking, was there a liaison?
So there's not a particular official liaison, there are people in the community that are trusted, and I would hope that we are definitely open to hearing from people, as a council people, and if people are comfortable hearing from us, I know that, there are people in the community that, we try to work with everybody, right? So, I just want to say publicly that, our email is available, my email is available, and I'm willing to speak and contact anybody that wants to talk about something.
When this is over,
I just wanted to add that it has to be, in the past, and it's ongoing. We have some members in the community that may know, they either told us, they send us a text, and so some of us work in the community, are very involved, so we see them almost every day, so it's always good to have that dialogue, so we are open, especially some of us are really, working day and day out with the community, so, emails is fine, phone, whatever it is. I know we have met with community members when they have some concerns that try to help out, where we can. Absolutely.
That's all I have.
Anyone else want to?
Hi there, I'm Lisa from Main Street. A few things. One thing that I feel is necessary to raise, that no one's brought up yet tonight, is that the front doors to City Hall are yet again locked. And this was an issue at the last council meeting, and I asked the council president, why is that? They said, because that's what the police wanted. I said, and you don't ask me questions, does that bother you? Why isn't there a sign? People don't, there's people with organized groups that have found their way in because people know and have been to this building before, but there's lots of people that aren't a part of an organized, coordinated group that might like to be able to attend these meetings and interact with the council and speak to their concerns. And if they go up to the front doors of City Hall and they're locked, and there's no sign, and there's no one directing traffic to the back door, how are they supposed to know how to access this meeting? That seems like a problem to me. And, not only is it not better than the last meeting where the doors were locked, but at least there were some, officers standing around outside to maybe choose to tell people where to go. This time it's worse, there's nothing. So if you don't already know your way around the building, you probably just throw up your hands and you walk away and say,
Does anyone on the council think that that's a problem?
What I will say is I'll look into it, to do this, I'll ask you to look at the protocols, but there should be at the very least someone there directing people.
Or sign.
Or a sign, so we'll make sure that.
And I can promise you that there was neither of those things. I went up to the front door, I pulled on it, it was locked. I looked around, nothing. So, you know, as great as it is to have the people that are here tonight in attendance, I would bet that there are some people, again, not necessarily part of an organized coordinated group who would have liked to be here and have their voice heard, who were denied that opportunity because there was no clear way for them to access this meeting. So I wanted to get that out of the way first, and obviously there are other, matters to address as well. I want to say that I fully support what other speakers have brought up. I would like to see the council pass a resolution in support of the Immigrant Trust Act. I would like to see the council pass a resolution in support of the Immigrant Act. So that's certainly something that I've talked to the council about multiple times before. But primarily I want to bring the conversation back to Deborah Terrell because I feel like the response from the council thus far has been lacking significantly. And I do appreciate the council vote earlier on the resolution to urge the state to move quickly. That's something, and I appreciate that. I'm sure other people appreciate that. But that's not enough. That doesn't do anything to address the problems that we have right here in our community, just by asking the state to do their job. What I've asked at several past meetings is that to actually allow for a real conversation for people to engage with you, not just by sending an email and maybe people are not going to respond, because it's about 50-50 if I hear back from you when I send emails. And it's not enough to just be speaking at you at a microphone as a one-way street and then you say, thanks for your comment, next person. That's not a conversation. I've brought up several times now the idea that we should have a town hall for an open dialogue with the community on the police reform. And at the last meeting, Ms. Escobar, you said that you would promise to carry that conversation forward. So I'm asking you directly, any updates there? Are we going to have that?
What I would say is that I spoke to some of the council members on that, and we have been already talking to other organizations to see if it's something that we can put together. So that's
So there's ongoing conversation. It's good that you are coordinating with organizations.
to see if we can make it happen. I always been open that I'm open to it. I know some others that we are open.
Right, and the openness is the first step, but it won't just happen by itself.
Absolutely, yeah. So,
And I would like to again reiterate the request that the police chief attend and the mayor attend, because that is something that we have not gotten in any of the conversations, any of the meetings as far as any type of contact with highway.
and I'm not going to say that they're going to be there, but I'm telling you that I'm going to
Can you
be
promise that you'll ask them?
And I'm blessed, and if it's, it's up to them, I cannot make them be present.
But you promise that you will ask.
I'm asked, absolutely, I don't have a challenge asking that, if they will be with me, so.
Anyone else for thought?
Good evening, council members. Good to see Mr. Ferguson back here. I got to agree with April. Shame on this body for again locking the front door in the rain with no sign. And when I came in the back, Victor Ortiz told me, "Hey, don't make a big deal about it. We have to. We could only watch one door at a time." There were two guys standing in the middle of the lobby who could have been watching the front door if the point is to count how many people are here for fire safety reasons. It's a joke. You can't hold meetings like this with the front door locked. It's a metaphor for how you treat us as the public, right? If you don't open the door to us, how are we supposed to expect you to serve us, to represent us? And I'm sorry, I have to start off by saying shame on you, because that's not okay, and April brought it up at the last meeting, and it's just as bad this meeting, actually worse because it's pouring rain. I'm glad to see some action in response to the tragedy that happened on August 8th, but critically, the resolution you passed doesn't call for any transparency. And so I want everybody to know that we're coming up on 6 weeks since police officer Josue Plaza killed Deborah Terrell. And the Attorney General is still keeping Josue Plaza's name a secret. Will you acknowledge that Josue Plaza was the shooter who killed Deborah Terrell?
As I stated earlier, we said what we can.
Right, like TSRG wants to go around pretend they're secret agents and not give out their names. ICE goes around wearing masks and doesn't want to be identified while they're doing their harm. And the highest law enforcement official in New Jersey wants to keep it a secret, the names of the officers who were there when Deborah Terrell was killed. That is unacceptable, and we demand transparency. I don't know why you're not demanding transparency. You're not even, confirming the name. We know the name. We know all the names. Can you tell us, are the 4 officers who were present when Deborah Terrell was shot and killed back on active duty? Are any of them on active duty?
I can get that information. Actually, Captain Hoover, do you have any, I know it's administrative, but at this point, they're still not active.
They're all still employed, Council Vice President.
Yeah, well, that's not acceptable, right? I'll be frank, I was at the scene of the shooting in my neighborhood last Thursday, and I saw Rodney Chang on active duty. So, are they on active duty or not?
I'd have to get back to you again. We're not going to comment on personnel issues.
Yeah, this is a tremendous problem. It's a huge lack of transparency. We can't even find out if these 4 officers are active or suspended. Why don't you demand the most basic minimum transparency? A woman's life was taken, and we can't even find out whether these officers are active or not? Do you think that's acceptable? Should the public just accept that? It's been almost 6 weeks.
We appreciate it, and I can understand that, which is why we did the resolution today.
Right, but the resolution doesn't call for any transparency.
Cost for expediency. As you know, and we're very well versed in this, that the Attorney General is the one that decides where we're held.
Jury, but you supervise the New Brunswick Police, and you're refusing to tell us whether these officers are active or not. So we just have to go by what we see out in the community. And I can tell you, I saw one of them active. So that's what I got. I gave you the names of all 4. You've refused to confirm them. So you're part of the problem. You're not part of the transparency we need. And I just have to be harsh about it because this is unacceptable. We can't allow this to happen. And frankly, I think that you should have acted today in support of the Immigrant Trust Act and the Climate Superfund Act as well. Would you be willing to just make a motion and get that done today, just like you did with the other resolution that you added onto the agenda?
You know that what we like to do is we like to deliberate, we like to make sure the information that was given on the Trust Act was given today. And so I'm going to give people on this committee the ability to look at stuff so that we can then see what we're going to do. It's the same thing that happened in the case of...
Well, then I'll close by saying the community needs to keep coming to these meetings and keep building pressure on you because you're not doing what we need. We need you to act. Talk is cheap.
Officially, with the Immigrant Trust Act, I would like you to also focus on a foundational Black American repair for the city of New Brunswick. Because the foundational Black Americans in New Brunswick deserve reparations. We didn't deal with ICE agents. Our ICE agents were the New Brunswick Police Department. That's who terrorized us. So we need a foundational Black American repair and reparations. And the city can fund that. I'm starting that immediately before it becomes federal. You said that you're hoping that the Attorney General expedite the investigation.
What I stated was that we did a resolution asking the Attorney General.
Wait, but when you talk, when you pause, when you talk, did I speak, or is it just 5 minutes? Right?
Okay, all right, I'll stay quiet.
No, I'm saying no, because you started talking,
I'll
and
give you
then
grace.
the clock just, no, listen to me. Listen to me. You started talking, and then the clock kept running. And then when I talk, so it's all part of the 5 minutes. Your speech part of the 5 minutes that I get?
No, I will give you your full 5 minutes.
Okay, so you can talk. You go ahead.
No, go ahead. I've said
No, you're not getting what I'm saying. I would like a dialogue with you. But when I'm communicating with you, then you start communicating, the clock is still running. You can communicate, but is it a part of my 5 minutes, what you're saying?
I've already answered you, Mr. Charlie.
You didn't answer me.
I said it's not. I said that I would give you 5 minutes. So it's, you know, I will
So
not say
so what were you getting ready to say?
I just said what I was gonna say. I said, I just made sure that we clarified what we did today with respects to the action for the Attorney General.
Okay. Well, the Attorney General's office, they're now overseeing the investigation because they took it from the prosecutor's office and they took it from the local police department. Here's my problem. Some of you guys sat here before prior to 2019 when the Attorney General's office was not even involved. And the same statement that you're making now towards the Attorney General, you made towards the county prosecutor and local police officer. It's under investigation. Let's give them time to complete that investigation, and then we'll contact you after that. But for the Attorney General office to intervene, that had to be a problem. So prior to 2019, you were mistaken. You were sending us down a rabbit hole because you knew that the local police department and the county police department were ineffective. If not, they wouldn't have taken over the cases that deal with police-involved shootings. So you're saying the same thing. You're not asking for accountability. Because you didn't ask for accountability when it was in the hands of the prosecutor's office and the local police department. You just asked for a quick investigation, just like you're asking now. So do you trust in your request for a quick investigation arm to expedite the case? This expediting the case still has nothing to do with accountability. Excuse me?
I'm writing this down.
No, I'm asking you, are you going to answer my question or not?
Again, the whole concept.
Are you being arrogant?
I'm not trying to be.
Are you being disrespectful?
You think I'm being disrespectful?
I think so.
I don't see that.
Okay. All right, well, like Ms. Crowder said, I don't know, I'm not too familiar with you. I don't know if you're a New Brunswick resident or not. I don't know if you came from the roots of New Brunswick or not. Mr. Fleming did. I'll get the tape, I don't think you have. But I think it's real disrespectful and disingenuous to the family of Deborah Terrell. But we're not just going to put this focus on my aunt. Because I don't think that you guys are qualified to give accountability. Like I said, you just won't even get the police's names. We have all the officers' names. I want to know how many of you guys actually looked at the tape of a senior being murdered in New Brunswick. Did you guys ever have the stomach to look at the tape? Did you guys see what the Attorney General's office put out? Have you guys watched it? Have you watched it? Counsel, have you watched the tape? You have? And do you have an opinion on the tape?
I do, but I can't speak for it.
Why not?
Again.
Your opinion has nothing to do with the investigation.
As long as the investigation's over.
Okay, well, for one, it was 5 officers, it wasn't 4. And I'll tell you, what the Attorney General put out is not the only thing that we had. The officer that he mentioned, the officer that shot Deborah Terrell. Deborah Terrell was shot, tased, and maced. The officer who shot Deborah Terrell was the same officer who tear gassed Deborah Terrell. And was the same officer who handcuffed Deborah Terrell while she was on the ground. And is the same officer who drug Deborah Terrell down the hallway to the elevator. I have that footage also. That's what And it stopped right before the Attorney General's office lets you see that point. So you asking for a quick investigation, they're already being disingenuous with you, strictly for not letting you see the entire footage of a senior, lifelong resident of New Brunswick being shot, maced, handcuffed while on the ground, and drugged down a hallway about 25 yards. And you're saying that you're comfortable with them giving you a piece of what they want you to know. This might be my last meeting that I come here with, because the work I put in is not going to be done here. I'm not going to be sitting going back and forth, looking at your confused faces. I'm not going to be, and I don't expect you being afraid to be honest because your handlers are somewhere in this crowd. You have an obligation to the community to do what's best. You don't have an obligation to the Attorney General's office. You don't have an obligation to the prosecutor's office. You don't have an obligation to the local police department. You have an obligation to the community. And you're violating that obligation every time you sit up there with that dumbass look on your face.
Anyone else?